What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. I don't know what consensus or popular discourse says about your early 20s these days, but when I was in my late teens and early 20s, the popular narrative was you need to have everything figured out and going right now. You were told you were supposed to be essentially in your 50s by the time you were 25, which puts a lot of pressure on you because everyone would love to be established and to have their life going and all this shit by 25. And some people can do that. Some people crawl out of the womb like reptiles with everything they'll ever need to do already programmed into their heads, and they're going to be fine. But there aren't many of those, and usually those people, they feel more like specialized organisms that crawl out to do one thing and then everything fucks up. Or they go on to do the course corrector thing, but we haven't seen one of those in a long time. And I was thinking about why that was the popular discourse. And I think it's because if people can make you believe you're under pressure or there are standards you aren't reaching, then you're much more pliable in whatever they're trying to sell you or whatever program they want you to join or faith they want you to join. And these are usually older people, or at least people in their mid to late 30s who are selling you this shit. So they must know it's bullshit. Because there's no way someone in a 22-year-old is going to be in a position to have a 50-year-old's life. Now, maybe that 22-year-old can mimic aspects of a 50-year-old's life, but they don't have 30 years of grown-up experience. The experience required to make that life work correctly. I remember I used to watch a lot of people who said you need to get married and have kids as soon as possible. 18 ideally. And because I was a retarded young dude, I thought, yeah, that's what I should do. And you really shouldn't. I can't imagine. I know people can raise kids in their teens because single mothers do it and not all single mothers are awful. Although I would love to raise the rent on a lot of them, maybe kick a couple around. But odds are better than not, it's going to be a train wreck. And when you have a major train wreck early in your life, if you're unfortunate or unskilled, which you're going to be unskilled, there's a risk everything gets thrown off track. And I mean off, not onto a different track, I mean off the rails. And it's funny because you talk to older people. I spoke with most of my professors about this. I had a phase where I liked asking old people I met questions. Always ask them about their early 20s because you always hear about this. People say you need to have these number of things accomplished by 22 or whatever. Or they'll talk about how your 20s are for exploring and your 20s are so fun, no responsibility. And it's not. It's not. They're not. They've never been. And when you speak to people who have lived through their 20s, usually the conclusion, the assessment is your 20s suck, but especially your early 20s. And we've talked about this before, but I've been thinking about it again because that idea, or the idea, your 20s, especially your early 20s, are for anything other than surviving sets you up for failure. Because your early 20s are critical in your life. Not critical in the sense you need to have all these things accomplished by this age. Rather, that you don't want to have fucked up in some major way by this age. And because it's your early 20s, you don't know shit. Odds are good, odds are better than not. You are going to fuck everything up for yourself. And that gets worse when you mistakenly believe you need to have everything accomplished by this or that age. That line of thinking induced my alcoholism, and now people are going to look at me like I'm a criminal for the rest of my life. That's something I can deal with, and thank God, we didn't get the Patrice O'Neill charges. We got charges that you can spin in a cool way. But that's still a stain on you. A stain that happened to me. Not one. One, because I couldn't take the pressure. I just kept loading pressure onto my back, and then I broke, and then I drank myself half to death. Also, because people suck, people are evil, you shouldn't have any friends. I strongly recommend against friends. But three, and most importantly, because I didn't know about life, I didn't know how you were supposed to approach life, and people gave me shit ideas and I believed them because I was retarded. And I think every young person, but young dudes especially, when you are feeling that, as a dude especially, when you are young, you are the scum of the earth. Nobody gives you anything, nobody wants anything to do with you. And if you accomplish anything or get anywhere with anything, if you get any respect from anybody, it feels almost mistaken or like you didn't earn it. And that's why a lot of young dudes will listen to cocksucker old people or older people trying to tell them what they need to do, buy their courses, or subscribe to their retard philosophy. Because a young dude's natural state is to be scum fuck nothing. So if they think they can get something, they'll do it. Again, that's why young dudes will trend hop so hard. People joke about women being obsessed with current thing. Young Dude International is the most obsessed with current thing because they think current thing is the only way they can be valuable or get anything from society, because there's no way anyone would care about them for themselves. On some level they know that, and they're right. You are nothing at that age. But the thing is, you don't need to have your life figured out in your early 20s. You don't need to do anything or trying to make yourself valuable. It's not going to work, and that's another thing. I think that's one of the reasons young dudes are jerk themselves off constantly over self-improvement. They think they can, using books or using courses, improve themselves into a version of themselves people will like. That's not going to happen either. As a dude, you grow into your value. And that can happen smoother and faster, a little bit, if you put yourself in trying situations, or, we mentioned in the SI video, get time in the cockpit doing something, anything. But that's not adopting a philosophy or reading many leather-bound books. That's not going to get you anywhere. And even doing the stuff you're supposed to do at that age isn't going to get you anywhere. You derive your value mostly through time, through learning how you deal with life bullshit, what you're supposed to do outside, externally, and then how you specifically are supposed to deal with it internally, and then also developing some kind of a skill. It's a simple recipe, and the main ingredient is time. As long as you don't lock yourself up in a nursery for all that time, it's hard not to become a man of some description. thug out your early 20s, take the pain, like Sergeant Barnes says, because eventually you will. It'll be less of an effort to take the pain. And once you can take pain, the learning process is going to be a lot faster for you, a lot easier for you. You'll develop your value faster. This video's all over the place, but my point is the only thing you need to do in your early 20s, maybe all of your 20s, is survive. Focus on that. Learning to survive, learning to go without, learning to survive alone. That, if you can do that, you will be setting yourself up for almost inevitable success later. The key is not to fuck up, and the best way not to fuck up any more than you're going to, because you will fuck up, no matter what you do, is don't load yourself down with an impossible weight, with impossible expectations, and feeling like you're supposed to have something that you don't, or that there is some way that you can get out of the suck of this, like self-improvement. It's not going to happen. You're not going to achieve what you want to achieve or what you think you're supposed to achieve. There's no way to get what you might feel you deserve. There is no way to get out of the suck of this. Just survive and try not to end up in a wheelchair or end up with fingers missing or something. I didn't start to feel like I was getting anywhere until I was 25, and that was only a little bit. 26 is where it started picking up. But even that was more luck on my part. But that's the thing, see, it feels like luck to me, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe what happened was you survived your early 20s enough and developed some of the necessary skills that you were ready to take an opportunity when it presented itself. It is luck, but it's also not really luck, because if you hadn't gone through all that, if that had been tossed in your lap at 20, you wouldn't have known what to do with it. That's what I'm talking about. You don't start growing up until your late 20s. It's like baby sea turtles or infants in the dark ages. You're not even a real person until you're 25, I think. Spend your early 20s surviving so you can start growing up in your later 20s. It will suck, and it will get better. Don't fuck everything up before you even cross the starting line. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.